If you've been working harder than ever lately, but you're feeling more invisible to recruiters than you did 5 years ago, I want you to stop for a second. Because the problem isn't your resume. And honestly, it isn't even your talent. It's something I've started calling the execution trap. I've spent 15 years in this industry. I've seen the booms and the busts. But what's happening right now in 2026 is different. I'm seeing people in senior roles, people with total compensation packages hitting $412,000, suddenly finding themselves at the highest risk of being replaced. Why? Because they're stuck in checklist execution mode. They're doing the work, they're hitting the deadlines, but in today's market, doing the work is no longer where the value lives. When I looked at the recent data from HRO Today, it hit me. 59% of candidates are failing to quantify their AI productivity in their resumes. They're still describing what they do instead of what they orchestrate. Let that number sit for a second. 59%. If you're just a pair of hands executing a task, you're competing with a tool that does it for free. Have you ever felt that frustration? That feeling like you're running a race where the finish line keeps moving? So if working hard at your tasks is no longer the guarantee it used to be, what is actually happening behind the closed doors of the C-suite? Here's the part that most people have completely backwards. They see the headlines about 52,000 tech workers being laid off in the first quarter of 2026 and they think the money is gone. They think the industry is shrinking, but it isn't. The money hasn't disappeared, it's just moved. While those 52,000 roles were being cut, something else was happening. There's now a 56% wage premium for workers who have specific AI skills. Let me repeat that, 56%. We aren't just seeing a shift in tools, we're seeing the birth of an AI elite class. I was reading a report from BCG recently that said 92% of C-suite executives are actively grooming this top-tier group. They aren't looking for more doers, they're looking for the people who can manage the agents in 2026. Doing your job is actually a high-risk activity. Why? Because the tool can now execute the task itself. If your value is tied to the output of a document, a piece of code, or a marketing plan, you're in a race to the bottom. Now this is the part that changes everything. The people who aren't just surviving this shift, the ones I'm talking to who are actually seeing the biggest raises of their lives, they've stopped being the producers, they've become the validators. How are they doing it? Let's look at a few people who actually made the leap. I want to tell you about a back-end engineer I know. Let's call him David. A year ago, David was making a solid $150,000. He was great at his job, but he saw the writing on the wall. He realized that being the fastest builder is a losing game when AI builds for next to nothing. So David stopped calling himself a coder. He pivoted to becoming an AI orchestration architect. He stopped writing every line of code and started designing systems where multiple AI agents build the code, while he acts as the final auditor. His total compensation didn't just go up, it jumped to $320,000. That's a 60% increase, and he's working fewer hours. Then there are the marketing ops leads I've mentored, the ones who moved from managing human freelancers to becoming AI content ops leads. They're cutting department costs by 40% while securing 35% salary premiums for themselves. Here's where it gets really interesting. Microsoft's latest index shows that AI adopters, the people who actually integrate these workflows, are saving over 9 hours a week. Compare that to the doers who are saving less than 2. These people aren't just using ChatGPT, they've had a fundamental shift in how they view their role. They've moved from the person sitting at the assembly line to the person designing the factory. Have you seen this starting to happen in your own workplace? That divide between the people drowning in tasks and the people who seem to be floating above it all. The technical driver behind all of this is something called agentic AI. We've moved past the phase of just chatting with a bot. We're now in the era of orchestration frameworks, things like LangChain and Crew AI reaching mass adoption in the enterprise. This is why 37% of companies plan to replace routine human tasks by the end of this year. It's not a threat, it's a reality of the architecture. I saw a quote in a Forbes HR column the other day that I can't stop thinking about. It said, "In 2026, we aren't hiring for what you can do. We are hiring for what you can ensure is done correctly by an AI agent. We have entered the era of the architect of intent." Your value is no longer in the production. Your value is in the diagnostic pause. It's that moment where you look at an AI-generated outcome and you have the deep industry expertise to say, wait, this doesn't meet our business context, or this isn't safe for our customers. Your ability to audit an outcome is now worth significantly more than your ability to produce it from scratch. You're being paid for your judgment, not your labor. So the question is, how do you stop being the one who executes and start being the one who orchestrates? And how do you do it starting this week? Your roadmap to a $300,000 career in 2026 isn't about working more hours. It's about claiming your seat as the final human auditor. I want to give you 3 cheat codes to start this transition immediately. First, fix the resume gap. Stop listing tasks. Start quantifying the ROI of your AI-driven workflows. If you've automated 30% of your department's output, that needs to be the first line of your professional summary. Second, pivot your LinkedIn headline. If you're a senior manager, change it to reflect AI and hybrid operations or systems architect. Use the language recruiters are searching for validator, orchestrator, architect of intent. Third, and this is the most important for interviews, don't just say you use AI. Demonstrate how you ensure the AI's work is correct. Talk about your audit framework. Show them that you are the one who guarantees the safety and quality of the machine's output. 81% of hiring managers now prioritize AI literacy over years of experience. The market is screaming for people who can lead this change. Stop doing your job and start ensuring it gets done. I've seen this work for David, I've seen it work for dozens of others, and it will work for you. What's the one thing you're going to change about your workflow this week? I'm genuinely curious. Let me know, and let's get you into that elite class. I'll see you there.